Hi there, Summoners! GuardianE here with another live reaction and first impression video for Fire Emblem Heroes. Tonight we're getting the reveal of the next set of special heroes, next set of seasonals to drop into the game in just a couple of days. Got the trailer pulled up here so we can watch it together raw for the first time to get the reveals of the characters themselves. And then of course we'll take a closer look at the arts, the kits, and the banner as a whole. But yeah, let's play, let's get started and get right into it. Alright. Fire Emblem Heroes. Alright. Witness the precious bonds between siblings. Special heroes to battle. Okay. Wait, Leo? So it's baby... It's baby Leo. Wait, so that... It's Fates. It's a Fates banner. It's a Fates... It's a Fates siblings banner? You know what that means. Could it be? Alright, I'm completely ignoring the fact that Leo is on the screen right now. Alright, Tome of Dusk reposition. Alright, so he's a red cavalry mage, right? Attack res detect, okay. Each of his actions slows down foes, speeds his cooldown. Take out, okay, alright. Okay. Saw that he had that AoE special at his disposal. Alright. Pretty cool effect. Pretty cool effect there. With the attack animation. Kanto, of course. Oh wow, and a little phase. Oh my god, Young Beauty, it's Camilla! It is Camilla! Did she have a... Oh, she's a flying axe unit. Okay. Alright. Look at that range. Look at that range, though. Axe of Dusk. No, she comes with no quarter. Trample for the A slot. Tut for the B slot? What is that about? Guidance 4? Can warp to foes affected by haze. Attack thrice in a row? Pushes past... Okay. Taking it to Emblem Ike? I like that already. Okay. Look at that Kanto too. Okay, alright. We gotta check out the kit. Looks like she also provided some teleportation warping for her allies after the fact. Sparkling Smile. We got Elise here as well. Okay. So they've all kind of like got their traditional weapon and movement types, right? She is going to be a cavalry, a cleric, and she is... I didn't see. Is she going to be the 4-star focus unit? Uses her baton to increase her ally stats and cooldown charge. Alright. She is definitely a tiny baby. She's a little munchkin. Okay. Wow, another Camilla. Okay, fine. It's been a while. It's been a hot minute since we've gotten another Camilla. Corrin and Corrin. Double Corrin. I heard you like Corrin, so you put Corrin in your Corrin. So we got male and female Corrin. Looks like armored blue dragon? Is that what it was? So what they were? Dusk Stone, Dragon Fang Fire, Primordial Boost, Clever Fighter, and Lower Ground. Okay. Alright. Reduce AoE specials, defend against up close. They can flood the map with their duo skill. Okay. Flood the map. So that's going to be... We decide our path. So that is going to be a bit of Divine Vein action. It is sounding like. Alright. Oh man, we got another Camilla. Wow, I've got a new big target to go for. Okay, duo skill. We'll take a closer look at all of this, you know, on a playback here. And we kind of break things down a little bit further, but yeah. I mean, it has been a while since we've gotten like a full Fates banner. Definitely been a while since we've gotten sort of, you know, the Fates Lords banner, right? So, again, I feel like, I guess thematically pretty appropriate. It's Fates through and through. I wonder who the freebie unit's gonna be. Precious Siblings. I mean, could it be Xander? Or Sakura? We just got a Sakura recently, so I feel like Xander... That looks like Xander to me. That definitely looks like... And also Cavalry Sword unit, so I think we're getting a free Xander from the looks of it. Yeah. No, Nor in the house. Nor in the house. So we, of course, you are going to be able to get one of the siblings guaranteed from the Spark if you have a FE pass. So starting on the 4th of April and going until May 5th, yeah, Precious Siblings, Fire Emblem Heroes. So yeah, Precious Siblings, special heroes to battle. Nor represent. Elise is going to be the 4-star focus unit of the banner. And it's kind of like back to roots. I mean, again, all of them kind of have their own like primary sort of featured movement slash weapon type and color, with the exception of the Corrins. But only really because like female Corrin was blue, right? Blue infantry. They were both infantry. So they maintain that at least, that she's a Dragonstone blue, but they are an armored unit this time around, which makes some sense given their propensity to be defensive, right? But otherwise, kind of like a hallmark back to their original, again, weapon and movement types. So I gotta say, like as a whole, like thematically, I've never really cared too much for like the baby banners. Like so, I have a little bit of mixed feelings just because in general, I don't. It's not really my thing. Like they're cute. I mean, they're okay. The BB banners are okay, but obviously the fact that Camilla's on it, and like Camilla doesn't look like a baby in this. Obviously, she looks like a late teen or whatever. So I mean, it's fine. But anyway, I'm excited for a new Camilla certainly, and she has like a whole bunch of like that tut skill. I don't know. I want to take a closer look at everything. Let's peel it back. Let's go back here. Take a quick look at Leo, of course, Cavalry Red Tome unit, art by Toby. I think Toby always does a great job with kind of the young boy characters, and so this is no exception as with this younger version of Leo. It's sort of the dark cape in tow and the fair skin, the red eyes, and the flaxen hair. Again, works really well, and it's something that you would expect kind of a young noble boy to be wearing. So again, feels pretty appropriate, I would say. All right, so let's take a look at the little like cheat sheet description here. So each of his actions slows foes and speeds his cooldown, which I think was what happened after his Kanto, right, when we saw the demonstration. Takes out many foes at once with his AoE special. All right. So does he have his own unique AoE? He doesn't have his own unique AoE special. He has Blazing Thunder, but let's take a look at his kit as a whole. So Tome of Dusk, 14 might, enables Kanto Remainder with min 1. Okay, so he always has Kanto 1 at least. It has a killer slaying effect. If a rally or movement assist is used by unit, grants another action to unit once per turn. So he has a self-refresh after using an assist. That's quite nice. After unit attacks, if Kanto triggers after Kanto, alright, right, grants special cooldown count -1 to unit, and also, if number of times the unit has acted on the current turn, not counting Kanto, is less than or equal to 2, for foes with res less than unit's res plus 5, triggers the following effects based on the foe's position. If foe is within 3 rows or 3 columns centered on unit, inflicts attack res -7 and sabotage on foe. If foe is in cardinal directions of unit, also inflicts gravity on foe. Very interesting. So what that effectively means is that at the end of his turn, wherever he lands, he's going to have, it's a pretty wide sweeping range, 3 rows, 3 columns, going to have those debuffs with the stat debuffs as well as the sabotage, and then those in cardinal directions will get the gravity effect. So they have been able to bake in gravity into his kit, since that is, that is kind of part of Leo's spiel, right? At start of combat, if unit's HP is at least 25%, grants bonus to units stats equal to the number of foes within 3 rows, 3 columns centered on unit times 3, plus 5, max 14. That is significant. That is significant. So when we're looking at this, right, 5 plus 9, so we're looking at least 3 foes within 3 rows and 3 columns. That's very easy to do. I mean, the maps in Fire Emblem Heroes are not that big. That's going to be easily achievable. Even if you only have 2 units, 2 foes within 3 rows and 3 columns, that is still going to be plus 11 to all stats, so that's still good. Deals damage equal to 20% of units res, including AoE specials, and reduces the percentage of foes non-special. Okay, so damage reduction piercing as well built in here. Okay, so a lot of things that kind of trigger off of his res stat, which is probably going to be considerable, has that special cooldown and then the cooldown after his action, which is going to help with the significant cooldown of AoE specials, right? Has the Kanto built in as well, in addition to all of the debuffs, significant utility debuffs as well with the gravity. That's still such a good ability to have even to today, and being able to do so passively for foes in cardinal directions. Reposition for the assist. Got Blazing Thunder for the special here, so it is that AoE special, of course, with that significant damage of 1.5 times. You got Crystalline Water for the A slot skill, really kind of honing that attack and res that he's really looking to capitalize on, neutralizing panic as well as any penalties to those stats, which is nice. Attack res Detect for the B slot, so inflicts attack res -4 on foe during combat, so it gets that passive debuff on the enemy. If a movement assist, like reposition, is used by unit or target's unit, inflicts exposure on closest foes within 5 spaces of both unit and target ally, or unit or targeting ally after movement, and foes within 2 spaces of foes through their next actions. Also inflicts attack res -5 on foes on the map with the exposure effect active, and neutralizes bonus to attack and res for those foes during combat. Okay, so obviously this is going to take advantage of the fact that Leo has the ability to use an assist during his turn and then also get a self-refresh. So he's not actually losing anything by enacting the Detect ability, this B slot that forces the use of an assist. He gets another action, so he's able to deploy this, take advantage of the utility and the debuffs that it provides, as well as still take the action and, perform his attack, right? So quite potent, some good synergy there. Attack res Incite Hone for the C slot. At start of turn, if unit is within 2 spaces of an ally, grants attack res +6 and incited to unit and allies within 2 spaces of unit for 1 turn. Grants bonus to units attack res during combat equal to the number of allies on the map with the incited effect +2. Right. Yeah, so this is very busted. It bestows the Incite ability, and then once his allies have Incite, that kind of reciprocates back, gives him even more, buffs in line with the allies that have that buff. So, okay, so overall, again, it looks like he is kind of centered around not only just dishing a ton of damage with the AoE special, having the maneuverability and the self-refresh of Kanto, as well as after using an assist, but also deploying a number of utility debuffs basically on where he's stationed at the end of his turn, which I think is really valuable. Certainly there's a lot of ways to take advantage of that strategically when utilizing that utility during a turn. Dragon Scales, but with that big purple orb, just dishing out the damage. Remember, he does have damage reduction piercing built in there. Okay, there we go. And here is Camilla, swinging that axe, very ladylike, young beauty. So naturally she is going to be an axe flyer. There she is, planting her axe in the ground in front of her. Love that they captured just the volume, the lushness of her curls and patented, famously wavy hair. It's just with the glossiness of it, meticulously cared for, of course, as you would expect from Camilla. They maintained certain aspects of her adult design in this as well, with the cloth around the shoulders, as well as the pelvic curtain up front, that's overlaid on top of sort of the billowing skirt around her. But again, they've kind of maintained those elements, of course, as well as the headpiece, right, which is a staple. But I like they've maintained those sort of elements of her outfit, while of course adding a bunch of the youthful beauty elements like the frilly blouse, the ruffled skirt. Again, just syncs together really well. And naturally, of course, she has that gentle smile, beguiling, very charming, but at the same time has this hint of mischievousness that we come to know and love from Camilla. So, alright, so let's take a closer look at her kit here. Alright, so her little blurb here: can warp to foes affected by haze and attack thrice in a row. We'll see how that happens. Pushes past foes and guides allies to follow. So I do wonder if there is going to be a Pathfinder element, maybe, or if she's just going to act as a beacon for warping capability. Now, something to consider when evaluating the kit is how many of these elements may carry over into the Emblem version of Camilla in the future. They do tend to keep consistent some some elements, at the very least, like certain archetype pieces, certain niches that a unit fulfills, they do tend to like kind of carry that through. So again, it may be a little bit of a preview of some of the elements that we may end up seeing in a future version of an Emblem Camilla. But right now we've got, of course, the precious sibling version. So let's take a look here. So Axe of Dusk. All right, 16 might, range 1, enables Kanto distance +1, max 4. All right, so she gets a maximum of 4 Kanto spaces, but it's actually the distance that she travels +1. That's awesome. Has a killer slaying effect, okay. At start of player phase or enemy phase, inflicts speed defense -7, discord, and deep wounds on foes that are within 2 spaces of another foe through their next actions. Okay, so it's a map-wide debuff, the condition being that the foes have to be within 2 spaces of each other, okay. If unit initiates combat or if foe's HP is at least 75% at the start of combat, grants bonus to unit's stat line equal to the number of foes within 3 rows or 3 columns centered on unit, times 3 plus 5, max 14. Okay, so that's the commonality. That's sort of the theme so far with this batch, is that whole capitalizing and getting buffs in relation to the number of foes within the 3 rows and 3 columns. Unit deals plus Y damage, where Y equals the total number of bonuses and penalties active on foe, and any foe within 2 spaces of foe, excluding stat bonuses and stat penalties, times 3, excluding AoE specials, and grants special cooldown charge +1 to unit per attack during combat, does not stack. And also, if decreasing the speed difference necessary to make a follow-up attack by 25 would allow unit to trigger a follow-up attack, excluding guaranteed or prevented follow-ups, triggers potent follow and X% during combat if unit cannot perform a follow-up and attack twice. X is 80, otherwise X equals 40. Okay, alright. It does feel like Camilla is going to be naturally speedy. It does seem like, again, the speed and defense -7 does kind of cater to her being attack and speed oriented in terms of her kit. And so what it does mean that it does that speed kind of differential of the 25, and it actually, she has the potent follow X%. So if she can perform a follow-up attack, so naturally she is going to be doubling up and hitting hard with the potent follow-up effectively. The Discord is going to do great strides in debuffing the enemy, basically giving them an in-combat debuff up to 5 for all of their stats, deep wounds preventing their healing capability, and then yeah, dishing out the damage, getting a damage quotient that scales around the bonuses and penalties, in addition to the debuffs, or the buffs on her in relation to the foe orientation and positioning on the field. So, the Kanto built in too, the Killer Sling effect, all really strong stuff, and of course that is going to work really well with No Quarter. No Quarter being a 3 cooldown special, with the Killer Slang effect is going to be a 2 cooldown special. She does, of course, get the special charge, extra special charge per hit, which would mean that if none of that is obstructed or blocked in any way, that means that upon the first hit, she's going to charge No Quarter, and then for the second hit, that is going to be able to proc the No Quarter. Of course, No Quarter doing a ton of damage, boost damage scaling off of the unit's attack, in addition, and also doing more damage for against armored foes, and then additionally neutralizing, basically having damage reduction nullification built in, which is super strong. No Quarter for a while, it was probably the most powerful melee special in the game. I don't know if that's the case anymore. We have the new version of Draconic Aura, right, that recently came out. So there's been some other specials that have dropped since. I was still kind of hoping that we would get like a flyer only special. I feel like at this point, flyers are the only movement type that has not gotten their own devoted special, and what better unit to usher that in than a Camilla, right? I'm just, totally biased there, but I'm just saying. But yeah, maybe in the future, not today. But No Quarter obviously being an exceptional special. Trample for the A slot, a new A slot skill. If unit initiates combat, or if foe's HP is at least 75% at the start of combat, grants attack speed +7 to unit during combat, and also if foe is infantry or armored, or if any space within 2 spaces of unit has a Divine Vein effect applied, or counts as difficult terrain, excluding impassable terrain, grants an additional attack speed +3 to unit, and unit deals +5 damage during combat, excluding AoE specials. If unit initiates combat, unit can make a follow-up attack before foe's next attack. So it has Desperation built into the A slot now? That is a little bit nuts. I did not expect that to be built into the A slot. Again, they're doing a lot of cross-pollination with like what would typically be like a B slot skill or like a C slot support skill. They've kind of merged and meshed and everything. Even specials now just have so many effects in them these days that you can't really, pigeonhole them being in a certain like class or type of skill anymore. But having the Desperation effect built in just by player phasing as part of the A slot skill is quite strong. There's sort of a weird set of conditions here for some of the boosts that you get, namely the whole infantry and armored. It basically is going to be one element of it to get the boosted stats, or being within a certain range of the Divine Vein too is another piece, and then or difficult terrain, right? So you have flexibility, but it's all a little odd unless of course she creates her own Divine Vein before the actual attack happens. So we'll have to see how that plays out. But I mean, just by the stat boosts and the Desperation effect alone, this is quite a potent A slot skill. All right, so for the B slot, we've got Tut Tut. Unit can move through foes' spaces. I see. So I feel like that's going to be especially in handy for something like Ether Raid's defense, where you're going to have fewer ways to block off the approach by putting other enemies in the way, or more of your units in the way to block and keep safe your weaker physically characters in the back. It seems like she can just bypass straight through the foe spaces. So that could be really tricky and really scary too. All right, unit can move to a space within 2 spaces of any ally within 2 spaces of unit. So that is huge. That is a huge range for her. Absolutely enormous. The potential for her being able to warp that far is quite significant. Unit can move to a space within 5 spaces where a Divine Vein effect is applied. Wait, so to a space within 5 spaces where Divine Vein... Any Divine Vein? Is that... So any Divine Vein that's applied on the map for an ally, she can move to a space within 5 spaces of that? First of all, within 5 spaces is absolutely enormous. And that's huge. That is, beyond huge. If it's any Divine Vein, that is also equally enormous. Because obviously, we have so many Divine Veins at this point in the game, so many easy ways to deploy Divine Veins by team compositions and allies that's actually opens up, the mobility is absolutely insane. At start of turn, if unit's HP is at least 25%, grants attack speed +6 and reduces the percent of foes non-special reduced damage by X% skills by 50% during combat, excluding AoE specials, to unit and allies within 2 spaces of unit for 1 turn. So it actually provides damage reduction piercing as a buff to her and her allies. Now, her special has damage reduction nullification, and this has damage reduction piercing. So that means that even on the hits where she's not proccing her special, she is at least going to have damage reduction piercing. When taking a look at Legendary Camilla, for example, her unique B slot skill, one of the key elements there was being able to bestow this damage reduction piercing buff to her and her allies. So they've maintained that. They've carried that over into Tut Tut here as well. At the start of turn, if unit's HP is at least 25%, after start of turn healing and damage effects are applied, applies Divine Vein Haze on closest foes' spaces and on each space within 2 spaces of those spaces for 1 turn. Really? So it's just an HP threshold, but after the start of turn healing and damage effects, that means that it doesn't matter where the enemy is, she applies a Divine Vein on them and then is able to teleport straight to them, right? That's absolutely insane. That means that you can't really hide from her. When the Divine Vein is deployed, she's going to be able to warp within 5 spaces of that Divine Vein. She can move through foes' spaces, so she can't be hindered that way either. So unless you have anti-warping on the team, she can basically, after the start of the turn, she can go right to the enemy wherever she wants. At start of combat, if unit's HP is at least 25%, inflicts speed defense -5 on foe, deals damage equal to 20% of unit's speed, and neutralizes effects that guarantee foes follow-up attacks and effects that prevent units' follow-up attacks during combat. I love that because I feel like that is an element that has been missing in recent Camillas, is the neutralizing things that prevent her follow-up attacks. So I think that's great for her in particular. That is going to ensure that she hits multiple times in a row, proccing her special, dealing tons of damage, scaling off of her speed, and dealing even more damage. It looks beautiful. And then Guidance 4 for the C slot. Infantry and armored allies within 2 spaces can move to a space within 2 spaces of unit. Grants attack speed +3 to infantry and armored allies within 2 spaces of unit during combat. And also, if those allies' speed is greater than foot speed, neutralize effects that prevent those allies' follow-up attacks during combat. Obviously a great skill for hybrid and mixed teams. I don't particularly care about this because I run Camilla Emblem, that's all flyers, so for me, this is going to be swapped out. But she's got so many C-slot skills at her disposal, right? She could inherit one of the Crux skills. Crux skills not only will give a debuff to the enemy, but also allow force them to take guaranteed follow-up attacks, which I think will synergize with the rest of her kit as well. Guaranteeing, she's going to have that speed stat differential anyway, and then, it'll also prevent or neutralize preventing her follow-up attacks, so she's probably going to naturally double, but having that extra assurance. But all kinds of other C-slot skills that she could be using. But Tut Tut, the B-slot skill, sounds absurd. So Tut Tut is absolutely absurd. I actually want to take another look at the gameplay demonstration, the map demonstration, so I can really appreciate how this is working. So start up to turn is beginning, and then she deploys the Divine Vein right there, right? So it's huge. It's absolutely enormous, the Divine Vein. And then now her movement capability is absolutely enormous, right? So she can move within 5 spaces of each of the Divine Vein itself, right? And then can warp forward. I just like free reign, basically. She can go all the way across the entire map. If her allies were positioned a little bit differently, she could go all the way to the left and the right as well, because again, she can move within 2 spaces of an ally within 2 spaces of her too. So just like absolutely nutso mobility as a whole. So I guess in this case she actually is blocked from warping absolutely everywhere, because I think the enemy has like a barricade skill or basically a no warping ability skill built in. But otherwise, I think she would effectively be able to warp across the entire map, right? If I'm not mistaken, like I feel like she would literally have no space that she couldn't go to. And then of course taking on Emblem Ike, which is very sweet to see. Just bam, the no quarter proccing, and then attacking again in succession. There we go. Absolutely exceptional, and she just has free reign to fly in and out. And then here they're showing, of course, the guidance effect in play, where brave Corrin is going to be able to warp there. So again, just really nice coming together. She's gonna rip it up on the battlefield, and I can't wait. She's gonna be a lot of fun to use. That unbridled mobility is just gonna be awesome. But anyway, moving on, right? We've got Elise here. We got really baby Elise. She is a little munchkin. She is gonna be a cavalry cleric here. I like how the staff is nice and shortened, just like she is. So we've got the small version of Elise, small version of the staff. It still has the fancy elements to it, of course, with the ornate jewel at the ends and the little waves, the little ribbons, and the flowers going to match the little ribbon on her neck as well. And again, lots of like frilly details in her outfit. She doesn't have the full giant twin tails. She's still growing those, I guess, but she has them hooped, which is still quite cute. Almost like a sort of a pastel kind of chocolate elements, almost like a candy theming to her outfit with the brown, the hearts, the ribbons, the bows, and everything else, the frills. Just it feels very French patisserie, and also just feels very appropriate for Elise, right? All right, so the little blurb here: uses her baton to increase her and her allies' stats and cooldown charge, prevents foes counters. So once again, Elise is going to be the 4-star focus unit of the banner, but she does come with her own unique staff. So that is noteworthy. 14 might, range 2, grant speed +3. I hate, so immediately I don't like that, because that takes up one of the buffs that she would be getting. Like whenever you get the grants stat +3, that's like a year 3, year 4, like kind of effect for a weapon. These days you don't see that anymore, and there's a reason for that. It's because Just so many other skills out there. Trumpet in so many ways. Speed plus 3, alright. Again, you are limited when you're talking about staves in terms of effects, but still. Speed plus 3 enables Kanto remainder min 1. Calculates damage from staff like other weapons, okay. At start of turn, if unit's HP is at least 25%, grants attack speed plus 6, treachery, and grants special cooldown charge plus 1 per attack during combat. To unit and allies within 2 spaces of unit for 1 turn. So that's actually a really nice set of buffs. That's actually very, very useful, having that additional special charge, the treachery effect. At start of combat, if unit's HP is at least 25%, grants bonus to unit's stat line equal to the number of foes within 3 rows, 3 columns centered on unit, times 3 plus 5, max 14. So once again, thematically, that has been the consistent piece across the weapons. Deals damage equal to 20% of unit speed, and then... if calculates, right, okay, blah, 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 and neutralizes effects that guarantee foes follow-up attacks and effects that prevent units follow-up attacks during combat. So all that being said, a pretty darn decent staff. It's got a lot of utility built into it, a lot of really useful buffs that she'd be bestowing on herself and her allies, easy conditions to meet. It will deal some decent damage with the stat boosts in addition to the damage scaling off of the speed stat. And again, the whole like guaranteeing follow-up attacks, neutralization on the enemy, and neutralization of skills that prevent her follow-up attacks is really, really useful to have too. Return plus, super, super useful. Basically the cleric equivalent of reposition, which will never go out of style, even if it gets superseded. It'll remain like a useful low, budget skill. Holy Panic for the special that is going to boost damage by 25% of foes' res as well. And also, if special triggered during combat, inflicts attack speed -6 and panic on target and foes within 2 spaces of target after combat. Okay. Attack speed tidings for the A slot. So we actually have a new A slot skill on a 4-star focus unit. That is interesting. If unit initiates combat or is within 3 spaces of an ally, grants bonus to unit's attack and speed equal to the number of allies within 3 spaces of unit times 2 plus 8, max 12. And foe cannot counterattack during combat. That is really good. That is really good. For an A-slot skill, easy conditions to get the plus 12 to attack and speed, and then having the inherent dazzling effect in there as well. I'm assuming that this is going to be limited to clerics, but I mean, it's definitely a great A-slot skill, and not only that, it's, again, easily accessible on a 4-star focus hero, so that's unique. That's nice to have in the back pocket for sure. And then even recovery for the C slot skill. So she doesn't have, she doesn't have a B slot skill to kind of round it out. But for a 4-star focus unit, she's got so much good stuff. Her staff itself is quite nice to have. Return plus is premium. Holy Panic is premium. Attack speed tidings is premium. So yeah, she's definitely just got a lot going for her from a value perspective. Just the pink tornado with the hearts too. That is cute. Nuh-uh. So yeah, no, she's got some good stuff again for a 4-star hero. Alright, and here we've got the double baby duo Corrin's armored blue dragon unit. Got their matching outfits. I mean, they look super cute. They do. I mean, like I said, I've mentioned before, I'm not a huge fan of the baby banners in general. But that being said, they do look quite cute here, and I like how the male version is holding the Dragonstone between them, so it's kind of like front and center, and they're both kind of around it. Again, the aesthetic, the colors, and everything kind of come together quite neatly too. Yeah, no, I think they look good. All right, so the little blurb for them: can reduce AoE specials by 80% and defend against close-up attacks. They can flood the map with their duo skill. Okay. Alright, so let's take a look here at their kit. I have to squint. I can't. The text is so small. It's so small and scrolling. Alright, Duskstone is their weapon, 16 might. Killer Slaying effect. If foe is ranged, it calculates the damage, so it's adaptive damage, of course. Okay, so at the start of turn, and at the start of enemy phase as well, except for in summoner duels, okay? If unit's HP is at least 25%, grants Draconic Hex to unit and allies within 2 spaces of unit, and if unit's special cooldown count is at its max value, grants special cooldown count -1 to unit. So we know that is immediately valuable, right? Because we know that dragons tend to have pre-charge as combat begins. So getting like any special charge at the beginning of a turn 2 is also going to be very, very helpful. But Draconic Hex, what that does, if you see at the bottom, inflicts -5 to all stats on foe during combat, and inflicts penalty on each of those stats equal to 5 minus current penalty on each of those stats for 1 turn. Min 0 calculates each stat penalty independently. Alright. And then at start of combat, if unit's HP is at least 25%, inflicts penalty on foe's stat line equal to the number of foes within 3 rows, 3 columns centered on unit times 3 plus 5. Right, okay. Max 14. So this is actually going to be a debuff on the enemy, rather than a buff to her, or to them. But it's going to scale again with the positioning of the enemy within 3 rows and 3 columns. If unit triggers Savior, value is treated as 14. So that means they get the maximum attack value if Savior is triggered. I think that's great. I think the more things that break Savior, the better. I think Savior is a mistake. Unit deals plus X damage, excluding AoE specials, and reduces damage from foes' attacks by X during combat, excluding AoE specials, where X equals the number of allies within 3 spaces of unit times 5, max 15. If unit triggers Savior, value is treated as 15. Nice. And also, if foe's attack can trigger foe's special, and unit's res is greater than or equal to foe's res plus 5, triggers the following effects during combat. Inflict special cooldown count plus 1 on foe before foe's first attack, so special rewind. Okay. If foe's first attack triggers the attack's twice effect, inflict special cooldown count plus 1 on foe before foe's second strike as well. I see. Okay. So they've got double the special rewind, depending on whether or not there is going to be a follow-up attack in sequence or not, right? If unit's HP is at least 25% at the start of combat, and unit's special cooldown count is at its max value after combat, grant special cooldown count -1 to unit after combat. Okay, so a lot of this is centered around maintaining the special charge, making sure that they have the special charge in tow, along with, you know, the more traditional dragon stuff, right? The adaptive damage, the special cooldown, as well as the special rewind. Like, these are really powerful effects, things that will give them special and prevent the enemy special as well, all in one. In addition to the huge amount of debuffs and the huge amount of buffs to themselves, especially they get an auto max value for those if they are going against a savior unit, which is nice, which is quite nice. In addition to the Draconic Hex, which is a separate debuff, but one that will also further decrease the stat line of the enemy, so that is quite powerful. And we've got Dragonfire Fang, which is only a 2 cooldown special as well. It's only 2 cooldown, which means that all of these effects that, you know, will provide additional special charge and things like that are going to be that much more potent here. So Dragon Fang Fire. Alright, so boost damage by 40% of units res when special triggers. That's gonna hit like a truck. If a skill compares units res to foes res or allies res, treats units res as if granted +5. So that's interesting. They actually have sort of a pseudo phantom res built into their special. If units res is greater than foes res, and lo and behold, you know, it's funny because it's part of the special that supplements and makes the other part of the special easier to meet. It's just really weird. But yeah, if units res is greater than foes res, reduces damage from attacks during combat and from AoE specials by percentage equals to the difference between stats times X. Max X equals 10%. If from AoE specials, X equals 8. Okay, and then minus current special cooldown value. Otherwise, X equals 4 minus current special cooldown value. If unit special is ready or unit special triggered during combat, reduces the percentage of foes non-special reduced damage by X% skills by 50%. Proccing the special is going to mean that she is going to have damage reduction piercing. And then after combat, if unit special triggered, applies Divine Vein Water on target space and on each space within 2 spaces of target space for 1 turn. So obviously that is a super loaded special. There is so much stuff in there as a whole, but I think it's inheritable. Like, it seems like it's a dragon exclusive special, but it does seem like it might be inheritable. It has the exclamation. I'm not entirely sure. It could be. I mean, I could also see how it's unique to them just because of the water Divine Vein, but I don't know. Regardless, it's a busted special, right? The 40% of units res, in addition to the inherent value in having the Phantom effect, the damage reduction piercing built in addition to the additional just boosted damage that takes place as well, scaling off of the special cooldown value. Just so much stuff going on here. Very, very valuable. For the A slot, we've got Primordial Boost, so it grants HP plus 5. If foe initiates combat, or if unit's HP is at least 50% at the start of combat, grants plus 9 to speed, defense, and res during combat, and restores 7 HP to unit after combat. So interesting, like that it's kind of all in on the defense and the speed. No boosts to the attack whatsoever as part of the A slot skill. There is some health restoration built in there, though, which is quite nice. But yeah, plus 9 to those stats alone, as well as the HP boost and the healing, honestly doesn't seem that great. As far as A-slot skills go, I feel like there's just like a lot of options out there. I don't know if this is... maybe I'm just missing something. It doesn't seem that good. And maybe it's just because I've seen so many like busted A-slot skills that are unique and things like that lately. But this seems okay. This just seems okay. Clever Fighter is a ridiculous B-slot skill too. Naturally going to help because they are going to be a speedy armor unit. So, inflicts attack speed minus 4 on foe, neutralize effects that guarantee foes' follow-up attacks, and effects that prevent units' follow-up attacks. Increase the speed difference necessary for a foe to make a follow-up attack by 10 during combat. And again, they are probably going to be pretty speedy in and of themselves. And also, if unit speed is greater than foe speed minus 10, reduces damage from foe's first attack by 10, so it is going to be an actual like raw numerical value for the damage reduction. Which synergizes extremely well with the percentage-based damage reduction that she already has as part of her weapon too, built in, or her special. Really busted stuff. I mean, the A slot I wasn't terribly impressed with, but I think like overall, like what they're capable of doing, all of the damage reduction, the Divine Vein, the special, I think the special charge nullification, the rewind, and all of that stuff is quite potent. So we have the proccing of the Dragon Fang Fire that you can see here. That beam coming out, and they have, again, like an insta-charge already, right? And then the Divine Vein is enacted with the water. And then we've got the Duo skill, so grants the following status to unit and allies within 3 spaces of unit for 1 turn. Increases speed difference necessary for foe to make a follow-up attack by 10 during combat. Okay, applies Divine Vein Water to unit space and spaces within 3 spaces of unit for 1 turn. So really flooding the map. Like they are very interested in flooding the map here. So again, having that water all over the place is going to create a huge obstacle for the enemy in their approach in general, reducing their speed as well. And just, you know, having those effects naturally is going to be helpful when the enemy is trying to make their approach, right? And then there we go, reducing that AoE special, and then retaliating, of course. Alright, so tanking that hit, no problem, and there it is. Now, interestingly enough, they don't have built-in distant counter. Now, of course, dragons do have access to the Dragon Distant Counter seal, so, I mean, that's a very quick remedy. Also, again, their A-slot skill, I don't love. I mean, I think it's fine. I think it's decent, but I think there's probably a lot of other A-slot options that they could have, and probably ones that have built-in distant counter that you could give them that would be appreciated. So, just throwing that out there. That may end up being sort of the more optimal kit for them. A parallel story. Precious siblings, of course, going through here and checking out all of the lords. And then Xander is there as well. So it does look like we are going to be getting a cavalry sword baby Xander amidst his siblings here on this banner. But yeah, I'm very excited, of course, for Camilla, a new version of Camilla to go for here. I am obviously going to be summoning on this banner. I don't know if I'm going to go to 0. I might go to 0. I probably should go to 0, but the only reason why I wouldn't go to 0 is only because I don't know when they're going to hit us with an Emblem Camilla. That's the only... I mean, they wouldn't do it right after doing, you know, this younger Camilla, but I don't know. I don't know. Well, we'll see. We'll see how deep. I'm going to go deep. I mean, we'll see how deep it goes. But I will obviously go deep and try to get as many copies as I can on this banner. You know, I think I think she's going to be a super fun unit to use. I think her skills are awesome. I really enjoy, like, the trample effect is going to be super powerful. I also really like the enhanced mobility that she has. Just opens so many doors and fun, like, strategic uses there. I think that's great. The only thing is that she is going to be an offensive melee unit. So it's going to be centered around just dishing out that offensive melee damage. We have so many powerful tanks in the game right now. Obviously, the demonstration that they did with her in the trailer was against Emblem Ike. Emblem Ike is still a menace. I mean, he's not the menace anymore, but he is still a menace. Obviously has color advantage against her as well. And I like that they set it up so that, you know, she actually attacked him how Ike wants to be attacked. Ike wants to get hit several times in a row to get all of the damage reduction and charge and everything else. So that's his ideal situation, and he still lost, is the idea. But again, there's just so many really, really powerful tanks in the game right now. We'll have to see. We'll have to, like, play the numbers, you know, play the scenarios out and kind of see, like, where she lands as far as ranking up against sort of the strongest tanks in the game. But either way, I'm excited that we've got another Camilla to go for and build out and play with, so that's awesome. But let me know down below if you predicted this banner, if you are excited for the banner, if you're going to be summoning for this banner. Best of luck to you. Hopefully you get all of the characters and copies of characters that you're looking for. Hopefully you all enjoyed the video. If you did, please consider leaving a like, commenting down below, subscribing to the channel for more Fire Emblem Heroes content. We thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, let's protect those skies.